You are listening to Rip It Up, the Renovations podcast.
Hi, I'm Kate. I run the Instagram page Victorian Math Mine.
And I'm Jenny. I run the Instagram account Work with Cottage.
This podcast is all about renovation and interiors from the renovator's perspective. We've been through it a few times between us and it hasn't scared us off.
In fact, we loved it. So if you are planning to do up your own home, you can expect to hear lots of advice from our own experience, along with plenty of tips and inspiration.
Maybe you are in a short-term rental, or maybe you are living in your home before you renovate it. Either way, this episode is all about quick fixes that you can implement easily and without breaking the bank to make your home feel a little bit more comfortable while you're there. Welcome back to the podcast. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Jen.
How are you today?
I'm good. Good.
Great. We have a live episode coming up next week, which is really exciting.
Oh,
so
yeah.
anyone
That's
listening
cool.
now, not next week, sorry, but our next release, which is 2 weeks away. So anyone listening now, stay tuned because that's going to be a really fun one. We're going to have some Q&A from a live audience. So anything we haven't covered so far will be covered there. So stay tuned for that in 2 weeks' time. But today we're talking about kind of a two-pronged strategy, right, to living in a temporary dwelling.
Temporary places.
Yeah.
Which I just moved into, actually. Moved out of my old house for my renovation. So I'm in a new rental. And I've been kind of trying to make it a home, let's say, for the last week.
Yeah, because you're going to be there for a while.
We're going to be here for, the guts of a year. Hopefully a little shorter, but yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to make it kind of comfortable and look somewhat nice as well.
Yeah, which is without spending all your money that you actually want to
Exactly.
spend on your permanent house.
Exactly.
So this is for you if you're renting, you don't want to make any permanent changes or any very expensive changes, or maybe you've moved into your house pre-renovation and it needs some touches to feel more comfortable and a bit more livable, but again, you don't want to spend a fortune on it. We've both been there a few times in rental houses and in pre-renovation houses. So we have lots of ideas and tips and tricks for what you can do with that. Okay, number one, I think my favourite hack for making a house a home temporarily is just soft furnishings. Like, it's that simple.
yeah.
I think rugs, curtains, throws, blankets on cushions, whatever it might be, it's kind of an instant lift.
It is an instant lift. And I suppose it depends on your rental or the temporary accommodation you're moving into. What I moved into here was completely unfurnished. So we brought some of our own furniture. We got rid of some that wouldn't fit. But I think it had a good basis, as in the rental was unfurnished, but everything was nice, neutral palette, kind of relatively new. So it made it very easy to kind of bring in our own stuff. But then obviously unfurnished, had no wardrobes, had no storage. So I was kind of on the hunt for that kind of stuff as well. But things that I had already, like rugs and things like that, I could make them work in a lot of the spaces. So that, my throw cushions, I've a million throw cushions. I love throw cushions anyway. But just rejigging things around to make them work, and the things I can kind of bring with me, even if I bought them for here as well.
Yeah.
So I love throw cushions. I love kind of relatively, at this stage in our lives with a dog and 2 toddlers, relatively inexpensive rugs, I would say.
Yeah.
I've tried a few wool rugs. Not the time in my life for wool rugs, I would say.
They're really hard to clean and the moths get at them.
Very hard,
They're nice,
yeah.
once they're an investment and they're worth it, but they're difficult to maintain for sure.
Yeah, they are. So I have a few kind of relatively inexpensive kind of distressed rugs, and I feel like they just had a bit of character to what's usually a pretty bland rental space.
Yeah, totally. And warmth as well, because usually if you're renting or if it's pre-reno, I know when I moved into my house pre-renovation, it was all lino floors and it was quite cold because it was a very old house, there was no insulation, and the difference that some big rugs made was gigantic. It really
Huge.
transformed the space. It was so much cozier, even less echoey and definitely warmer.
Definitely.
Yeah, it made a huge difference.
I remember saying this in an earlier podcast, when we got moved into our last house, when we bought it, it was all carpeted. It was so disgusting. You were saying it too, you hate somebody else's carpets, the thought of it. And we were the same, and we eventually ripped them out and sanded the floorboards, but immediately you did feel the cold. It was amazing, the layer of insulation that brings. So I think we brought it back in then with putting big area rugs, but we still had the kind of, nice sanded floors around it. But I think, area rugs, big area rugs, covering a big space, great for dress, great for a bit of coziness, great for a bit of colour if it's a really bland space. And that combined with throw cushions on the most basic of couches will definitely give the place a lift.
Definitely.
Do you know what I also love as well? And you can get them on Amazon now, you can get some on Ikea, whatever, is loose covers for sofas.
Yeah.
Do you know, like if you move into a rental and it's just got a hideous sofa or like a really horrible old like tatty leather one or a pattern that you hate or something like that, those tie loose covers, there's just like in a linen fabric, are really inexpensive, but they give it a lovely kind of neutral palette, and then you can kind of lift it again with the throw cushions and stuff like that.
Because you can
And feels
throw
a bit
blanket.
cleaner, right?
Yeah, it feels cleaner because you can throw a blanket obviously over a sofa, but I always think it looks messy. You know, if you want to cover the entire sofa, it just looks a bit messy. So sofas are generally, I mean, obviously they come in all shapes and sizes, but they're generally fairly standardized. So yeah, you can get fitted ones. You can get ones that kind of are a bit of a stretchier fabric and they kind of tuck
like
in.
an elasticated kind of.
Yeah, and I always think like just something in a really basic neutral colour, combined then with some nice throw cushions and some nice little throws or blankets, and sure, you have a brand new sofa, and that'll do you for nearly a year. You know.
And talking about those stretch fit ones, you can actually get those for divan bases as well. So a lot of renters have those really ugly old divan base beds.
Why are they such
and I
weird
think
colours? There's like a
I don't
blue
know.
tartan that I feel was everywhere for ages. It really
There's a
dominates
real
the room. It's not a
grey and
bedroom.
pink 80s pattern as well, or 80s or 90s kind of pattern.
And
But
then
like, I think
florals, so many florals. Like why? No, like.
But if you have those
Ridiculous.
divans, I think those stretch fitted fabric covers are amazing as well, just to kind of neutralize the whole thing. Or a nice kind of linen box balance or something,
Yeah.
you know, just to hide it.
Agreed. And then I think further to the soft furnishings discussion, curtains make a huge difference.
Yeah, and they're
They can
really
make a
good.
huge difference.
Like relatively cheap. You know, pre-packaged, pre-made curtains nowadays. They're not raggy, crappy ones that you used to get.
Like you'd get a pair of curtains from €50, I'd say. I got a fab pair in Ikea. They were kind of this lovely mustardy yellow colour, one of my favourite colours. Maybe not the most popular. But like they were pretty sturdy, and they were, I won't say fully blackout, but they really were, you know, pretty effective at keeping a lot of the light out. And they were lovely and heavy, and they fell really nicely. So that's a really handy one. Now, oftentimes in rentals, I think what you end up having is blinds, those kind of cheapy,
Just basic roller blinds.
plasticky blinds, or even basic roller blinds. So you might have a bit of a trouble in installing a curtain unless there's a curtain rail already. You can get, one thing I did in a rental property or rental apartment when I was in my 20s was I got these tension rods that you can set inside a window frame. So these kind of screw out to a certain a width, usually an adjustable width that you can pick yourself, and they kind of press inside the inside of a window frame and hold themselves up. So you can't hang anything too heavy on them, but you could at least put up a nice voile or a net or something like that just to warm things up a little
Soften that window, like.
Yeah.
But I think those those blackout curtains you were saying are really good for thermal as well if you're living in a cold house. So I think you kind of get a win-win with the curtains from that point of view for dressing the window and for thermal. But I think I love the voile. It's just diffuse the light a bit, making that look not so harsh. And I love the Ikea Hilja ones. Hilja, I don't know how to say it. Hilja. Put it in the show notes. But I just think it's such a lovely. They're soft. They're not shiny. Whereas some of the voiles can be very shimmery, shiny almost. This one's quite matte. Looks nice. I think it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, some of them can be a bit kind of plasticky, you know, cheapy looking. I love that matte look. I think it's much, much nicer. It can look really, really sweet. You mentioned thermal there, and I think that's a really important point, especially, you know, most rentals now are probably fine, but definitely my house when I moved into a pre-rental or pre-renovation was not livable. Like it was absolutely Baltic and dangerously underheated and underinsulated.
Same.
And I think you gave me the advice at the time. There's loads of things you can do to warm it up. So curtains do help, rugs do help, like it all helps, all those soft furnishings help. But you put me onto this brilliant foil that you can get, like a wrap that you put onto the window. It's like a window insulator. I'll look up the name of it and put it in the show
It's like
notes.
a film, is it? Is
Yeah,
that the
film,
one?
that's the
and you
one.
kind of like stick it on and then you shrink it with the hairdryer.
Yeah, it's like a shrink wrap almost. Insulating window film.
Yeah.
and it comes in
it's
a
so good,
roll,
yeah.
and you stick it up against the window, and just be a bit, rub it on with maybe a squeegee or something like that to make sure there's no massive bubbles in it and it doesn't look awful. And then you put a hairdryer on it, and it kind of shrinks onto it, and it turns like even the oldest single glazed windows into basically double glazed windows. Like it's really effective.
Again, it's just for like those drafts, especially in old houses like ours. The old sashes, if they hadn't been repaired, or the old casement windows, like the amount of drafts through those, and just like the brush strips that were there once upon a time were probably gone, or maybe they were never there. But I think, it just blocking out those little bits of drafts makes such a big difference.
Yeah. Brush strips is another good one. I bought a packet of, they're those kind of spongy looking strips that you stick around the edges of windows. So anywhere where there's a tiny bit of a draft coming in, it's so important to get something around that. So the window film, the brush strips. If it's under the door, under your front door, getting one of those brush stick-on brushes to go underneath it. The back of a letterbox, there can be a lot of drafts coming in there.
Unbelievable in my current rental, actually, the letterbox. I need to get a draft excluder. Anything that you can exclude drafts from in an old rental or an old house as a stopgap before you renovate.
And one thing that made a huge difference in my house as well, pre-reno, was the a foil balloon that you stick up the chimney. Did you ever try one of these?
Yeah. We've had them. We have them in most our rooms at the moment, actually, just because there's a fireplace in every room.
Yeah.
And they're all disused. But like they're good, but sometimes they can be noisy on really windy days. That's the only thing.
Yeah, but they are really good. Like you'd be so surprised at how much heat can go out of a chimney burst.
Yeah.
So those foil balloons, they're just basically just a big ball of foil, and you stick them up. You stick them
and
up
it's got
the
a
fireplace.
long kind of straw on it. Some of them pump by hand, and some of them you actually have to blow them up physically when they're kind of up there.
So they expand, they take up all the available space. You just have to be very careful not to light a fire once there's a foil balloon up there, because it can go very wrong very fast.
I remember trying to measure for those before, because your chimney kind of, what will I say? It gets wider after the first like couple of feet to help with the draft, I guess. So you have to actually measure that big void up there for the balloon. And I sized the wrong one time, it just fell straight back down. But it's a tricky one to measure. You need bigger ones than you think. Yeah, but really, really good.
So one thing that I absolutely love, I think it makes such a difference, and it's so easy, is contact paper or vinyl wrap. So I did this for my kitchen countertop that I inherited before I ripped it out. I also did it to completely transform a set of shelves that I bought. I think they were secondhand from Ikea. They had been glass, and I just don't like glass shelves. So I bought contact paper. It comes in a roll. It's sticky on one side. It's the easiest thing on the planet to use. It's surprisingly sturdy. And you literally just roll it out and stick it down on a surface. And like, it's not bulletproof, you can.
Okay, cool.
And I love it. It's really nice. Yeah. You can get a whole bunch of different types of finish. Like they have like wood effect finish, or, different types of stone, or different colours or patterns or whatever. I thought the marble one was quite nice. It was pretty, it wasn't too over the top.
Yeah.
Just thought it looked
I love the window film as well.
Oh, tell me more about this now.
So like we had sash windows in a lot of Victorian homes, just had plain glass. They didn't do the privacy glass in a lot of the bathrooms originally. So like obviously to use it for a shower and standing up and not just bathing or whatever, you need some sort of privacy glass. So I get the fluted or reeded glass. So it comes in like a sheet again, like a contact sheet or whatever, and you just spray like a solution of whatever, washing up liquid and water, and then it just squeegees out all the bubbles, and it's literally it looks like reeded glass.
Yeah, that looked fabulous. I thought that looked so good.
That makes such a big difference, and like it comes off completely perfect. Then the glass is perfect, doesn't leave any residue or anything like that. So it's great, even if it is a rental and not your own house. It transforms it, and I'm sure people would leave it up anyway. But like you can take it off.
Yeah,
if you need to.
There's no
trace. It doesn't want anything up.
Yeah. Another thing that's really handy actually is for a rental property, if you hate the tiles, you can paint them, but obviously that's quite hard to undo, so you need to get permission first. But you can also get tile decals. It's kind of like contact paper. Again, they come off, they leave no trace. You can buy them in all different shapes and sizes and patterns and colours and everything. And they literally just stick on over the existing tiles, and they can look really, really good. Yeah.
I actually saw decent ones, and you could do floor ones as well. Like in, I don't know, Mr. Price or Deals or one of those. I think it was Deals actually. But like €2 a box of, 4 or 5 tiles or something. But like, a really good way if there was horrendous kind of patterned old tiles or something like that, and you just, again, want to neutralise the space. Really inexpensive, and like you said, reversible as well, then if the landlord doesn't want it to stay.
Sinead Ryan, that I on News Talk that I do the home show with, she did a brilliant job on her downstairs bathroom. I think she did a how-to on her Instagram, Sinead Ryan 100, worth checking out, because I think the before and after looks amazing. Like it's really genuinely very good. I think it's brilliant. Another thing that leaves no trace, my absolute favourite, I have these all over my house permanently, not even just as a temporary solution, is command hooks.
Command
What
hooks.
are they made of? Like they're magic.
I don't know, but it's like a no-brainer, isn't it? Like you can hang up pictures. You can even hang up small-ish mirrors, I would say, with them if you get the decent-sized ones.
Yeah.
But as long as you do it right, because I didn't do it right before. I didn't use the right amount of hooks per the weight and they kept falling off my wall. But if you do it properly, they're brilliant. And they actually do leave no trace if you take them off the right way.
I think
So
just
that's
follow the instructions for putting them
Yeah.
on and taking them off. I use them for my Christmas decorations. I have them for coat hooks. I had them, I got their own, they're just, I love them.
Yeah, that's
They're
great.
kind of magic.
Because that's one thing I find when you go into a rental or in a temporary place. Like I've no photos up at the moment. I have everything kind of still in boxes, but like just being able to hang up a few pictures and, you know, photos when you come in that it actually feels like a house and it's not just some generic place that no one lives in.
Totally. Yeah.
But yeah, the command hooks are a great shout. Do you know what I also love? I love them in my own house, whether it's a rental or not, is baskets.
Yeah.
I just love baskets. It's just like when you don't have built-in furniture or like specific items of furniture for stuff, I just think baskets are lovely for throws. They're lovely for firewood. They're lovely in the bathroom where there mightn't be storage and it still look nice to hold your toiletries.
Yeah.
So I just think like nice baskets, you can never go too far wrong, even for laundry baskets and things like that as well.
Instant kind of clean up as well, isn't it? You just grab everything and you throw it into a basket and off you go.
Yeah.
I go
Yeah,
with that.
we have a
Where do you
huge
get-
one at our console table in the hall. And just all the kids' shoes and jackets just fire in there because they're never going anywhere else. Like so, they may as well be tidy and behind a nice basket.
Where do you get nice ones?
TK Maxx, Home Sense, Woodies. I got some lovely ones in Woodies before. I think they were called Lily.
Oh.
I still use all those in the kitchen, kind of utility space and stuff. But yeah, whereas Dunn's have lovely ones as well.
Yeah, Dunn's have lovely ones actually.
The
Great
Paul
call.
Costello
Yeah.
ones. I have this huge one from their big log basket.
Yeah.
That's the one I have on my console table actually. It's really nice. I just think they just tidy up the space, but they're better than just having a big plastic box or a big, you know, like, I don't know, the fake poly rattan never looks as nice as kind of real rattan or real rope basket.
Yeah, the texture is so much nicer in the real one. And they're not expensive. Like they're totally worth
No.
it. And they
No,
last
they're
forever.
not.
They're brilliant.
Do you know
they're
what?
so handy.
One thing I struggle with a little bit in rentals is lighting. Because, like, you know, it's
basically
usually-
always
and
just
I'm
spotlights, isn't
sitting
it?
under one right now. It's just like, well, this one's just a one single bulb hanging from the middle of the dining room. So, like, I need shades, but
Yeah.
like just the basic big drum shades, as big as you can get, pretty much. Like, I'm talking like 40, 50 centimeters. Anything less than that, they look too small in the room. But I just think like inexpensive. They just soften the light. They diffuse it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a nice way to kind of tidy it up a bit because you're not going to go fitting new pendant lights, you know, if it's a stopgap place or a rental. But I think just drum shades really change the room, change
And
the
just
light.
basic colour, like even just a nice cream colour or whatever it might
Yeah.
be, like something kind of neutral. It's purely just to diffuse the light. You can often find them in charity shops, like you pick them up for nothing, just buy an old lamp, and they've loads of them. And then obviously IKEA and the likes of that as well have cheap ones.
Talking
They
about
make a huge
IKEA,
difference.
actually, I was out there the other day because this house is unfurnished that I'm in, and we didn't have any wardrobes as such to bring. I have my Elfa system at home, but like I couldn't fit that to the wall here. So we had like one freestanding wardrobe that was in Matt's room, and my G-plan one, I'm actually looking at it because they couldn't get it up the stairs here. It was too big to put up the stairs in the rental, the movers.
too good to leave behind.
Oh, I wasn't leaving it behind, but I'm actually looking at it. It's actually full of all our booze and glasses at the moment. I'm thinking of doing a bit of an upcycle to a bar cabinet, maybe. I think it would make a really cool bar cabinet.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had no wardrobes, so I did a little bit of the IKEA trip. Now, I did look on adverts as well, and adverts can be great. And I missed out on a few just timing-wise. It wasn't aligning, but like I'd always check adverts first because there's always people reselling IKEA stuff for, you know, and if you can get a Go van and grab it, you get it for nothing. For like drawer units, whatever. So I got a little kiddie wardrobe and a 3-drawer kind of unit for our room just to have some sort of storage and just the heavy duty kind of clothes rails. But I think like second hand if you can for furniture as well, if you would get into rentals.
Yeah.
Because you don't
totally.
know if it's a rental especially. Maybe if you're planning to renovate that house, you can buy stuff that you think will fit the house when it's done. But if there's a rental, you don't know where you're going to next. Don't go spending fortune on furniture that's not going to fit the next place. So like, get secondhand.
Totally.
You know, if you can't get secondhand, get some cheap kind of basic units that will sell on. And I think the plain white IKEA ones or Yusk ones or whatever, they'll always resell on adverts. So just think about it that way. Yeah, you should buy it now up front, but you'll probably get 50% of the cost back at the end.
Totally.
If you're moving again.
Charity shops like Vision Ireland, that used to be the NCBI, they have really good furniture. You'd never know what you pick up in there. And then obviously adverts.ie or DoneDeal or Facebook Marketplace or something like that. It's just so worth it. Like, don't invest too early because you'll change your mind and then you're stuck with something expensive that you don't want.
Yeah. That's a lot of kind of fixes. One thing I would actually invest in, because it is something you would bring, is bed sheets, nice bed sheets.
Oh, yeah.
And I think like it's such a big area that like when you go into your room, it makes a big impact. So you may as well have nice bed sheets because you're going to bring them with you anyway.
Even a mattress, like if you're sure what size bed you're going to have in your new house, then a good night's sleep. There's no point in cheaping out. Like, why not get the use of it?
Yeah, get the good one there, yeah.
It's just hard to like make sure you've got a mover because moving a mattress is hell on earth.
Well, I didn't do that now this time because I've done it a few times before, and moving mattresses nowadays, they weigh a ton.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't, actually, the movers I got last week called VanDel couriers, they were unbelievably good and really reasonable, but they were in, the three of them were upstairs. They had my mattresses bagged. I bought mattress bags, but they already had them. They were so good. Like, and they had the beds disassembled, the mattresses in bags, and like within 15 or 20 minutes, they had like the upstairs bedrooms cleared out. I couldn't actually believe it. They were
it's so worth it, isn't it? Because I mean, it's heartbreaking.
Came to this place, assembled the beds, had the mattresses on, and everything. Just like it made life so much easier.
What
like,
are they?
Whatever
VanDel,
about
VanDel, is it?
VanDel, I think.
I'll look it up. I'll put it in the show notes.
But they were excellent. Like they were so good and just took so much stress off. Like I did some of the smaller boxes myself and car runs, but like the big stuff like that when you're moving, just do yourself a favour and don't go trying to move mattresses and beds.
It's one of the most stressful things you can do in life is moving. Yeah. So I think just get the pros in. Like it's so worth it. It's the best money you'd ever spend. It's not that much.
And have a little, if you can afford to, have a little bit of an overlap between when you're out of one and into the other, because in my opinion, there's nothing more stressful than moving out of one house and into another all in one day.
Oh my God, it's not possible. I don't care how minimalist you are and how little stuff you think you have. It's not possible to move in one day.
And no matter how organised you think you are, you end up just throwing a lot of shit into giant shopping bags by the end. Do you know? Like you just can't. Like, so if you can have an overlap at all, try.
Yeah. The other thing that's not a bad investment that you don't need to cheap out on too early is some gadgets. Like if you know you need a good Hoover, get a good Hoover. You know, if you know you're going to have if you definitely want an air fryer, get an air fryer. Like there's certain staples that you don't need to cheap out if you know what you want and what you're going to keep using.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't like alter the layout of your home. So you need to redesign it or something around it. But yeah.
We were really lucky in this rental that we have. There's a garage, so like we're storing a lot of like tools and stuff like that. So if we have a bit of overflow, we've storage in there. But when I moved into our last house, we had no kind of utility space. So I bought this it was kind of an island, I suppose, freestanding kind of steel frame island in Ikea, a white one. And it was unbelievable for like the amount of storage I could fit there because we had this tiny kitchen that was really old. And that little utility kind of unit stored all our appliances, all like our pantry goods, all that. And it just took that mess out of the kitchen. So like little pieces like that, if you have any kind of odd room that you don't know what to do with, it works great for like a pantry space or storage unit or something like that. So I think it's always worth investing in one of those as well, I think.
Definitely. Just remembering one thing I did in an old apartment that I was renting. It had these dining chairs that had fabric seating on it, which were just stained and it was dirty and they were driving me mad, but like I didn't have space to throw it anywhere or do anything with it. So I just bought fabric, unscrewed the base of it and then stapled the fabric over the existing fabric. And it was easy, like you could rip it off when you're moving out and it was such an instant uplift. Like it looked
proper
way
upcycle,
better.
Yeah.
It was really handy as temporary one.
That's a great shout, yeah. Oh, plants. Sorry, do you know what I never said? Plants. I have so many plants. I think plants immediately make your home feel like a home or like feel a bit more lived in and a bit alive and not so clinical and cold.
Yeah.
And like there's something that you'll bring with you anyway, so why not?
Totally
Worth it. And again, so inexpensive these days. Like an Aldi Lidl, they're always doing plant specials and stuff like that. So it's totally worth it.
Yeah, I mean, I kill all plants, so I can't speak for everybody here.
You
but,
have a nice one in the corner for a good while.
There's
now.
one. It's still, I don't know how it's still alive, but it is still alive. Yeah, fair play to it. Against my best efforts. But yeah, they make such an instant difference. Like,
Or
they're absolutely brilliant.
if you don't want to get plants or you don't want to commit to big plants, herbs in pots on your windowsill
Yeah,
even in your kitchen, just like those like whatever ones when you're picking up your shop. I think just those act like a little plant and then look nice in your kitchen and soften it a bit.
how much basil can I kill in one lifetime, though? That is the question. Like,
They're
just
not
can't.
designed.
Just
I
can't.
will say those plants are not designed to last.
No, they're not.
I saw some lady on Instagram or something, and she took one of those. There's so many seeds in one tiny pot that like they're destined to die, but you can actually take them and break them up, and then she repotted it in this huge pot, and then she essentially had like a basil tree in her
Ireland?
kitchen. No, it was in America, I think, but it was inside, like it was indoors.
Oh, wow.
But like she had it just inside her window, and she had it in like a drip tray kind of pot.
Some
like,
people
were
are magic.
huge, so I was like, I'm trying that. I have
If you're
to try
listening and you can keep basil plants alive, good for you. Well done. It's not easy.
Carry on this
you.
way.
I applaud you. We kind of touched briefly on paint there, but it's interesting because if you're renting, two things, right? If you're renting, sometimes you might be allowed to repaint, especially if it's a neutral colour or if you agree to paint it back a neutral colour before you leave the property. So check your contract and check with your landlord. The other thing is, though, if you're in a house that you're planning to renovate, even if you're going to be knocking down walls or whatever, no harm to try some paint out on some of the walls and just see how it works with the light. We touched on this a lot in our paint episode because paint, not all paint is created equal, as in
Absolutely not.
one
yeah.
pot of paint will look very different in one room versus another room, depending on how the lighting works. So if you're in a room that isn't going to change too much in terms of lighting, like you're not ripping out the window or ripping down a wall or something like that, it's a good opportunity to test out the paint there and see how it works with different lighting.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, well, you'll be comfortable enough in your stopgap if that's the case. And it's absolutely freezing. Just get a load of hot water bottles or maybe even an electric blanket.
I have a lovely electric hot water bottle.
Oh, I remember you telling
I
me
love
this before.
it. You plug it in and it's filled with some kind of like liquid or gel or something that gets hot and it stays hot for so long.
Class.
Because then you're not messing around. I find like pouring a kettle of boiling water into a hot water bottle is a risky gamble. Like, you know,
Yeah, it is,
I always like burn my hand. Just the business. I love it. Okay. I think
On
that is all
that.
my best tips. Don't burn your hand on your hot water bottle.
Don't burn. Yeah, not your water bottle. Yeah.
But they are better for keeping you hot, I think. Oh, another thing is plug-in radiators. This
Oh,
was
yes. We had
brilliant in
loads
my
of these.
house. I'd
Yeah,
loads
we had
them.
the oil-filled ones.
Oil-filled radiators.
Yeah.
And they're not that expensive.
No, they're not, and they make a big difference.
Yeah.
The oil-filled ones, and then there's kind of electric panel ones as well that you can put on a smart timer or something.
Yeah. And usually those oil-filled radiators, you can put them on a timer or at least you can get a plug maybe that has a timer associated with it.
Exactly,
To
yeah.
come on maybe just before you come home from work or just before you wake up in the morning or whatever. They make such a huge difference, definitely.
They do. A huge difference.
Yeah.
So hopefully we've helped you there to make your rental or your stopgap a bit more comfortable. And I'm off to get a few packs of command hooks and get some pictures up on these walls.
They make such a difference. I love it.
I know.
And tune in 2 weeks for our
Yeah.
live episode, live from the
know.
Ideal Home Show with audience Q&A. So can't wait for that.
Okay, see you in 2 weeks, guys. Bye.
See you in 2 weeks. Bye.
If you found that episode useful, please do us a huge favour by giving us a like and a few stars, and especially click that subscribe button.